Hello again and welcome back to another video. Now it's starting to get really cold now. It's the 2nd of December, so it really should have started getting cold earlier, but it's been a very mild autumn and it's just starting to catch up on us now. So I've got my hat and my scarf on because it's absolutely freezing today, but there are a few little jobs that I want to do before winter really kicks in. So I need to clear the pond area of all the wildflowers and I need to put in the grapevine. I also want to put in some herbs into the hanging baskets by the shed. And because it's December now, I think the shed needs to be made a little bit more Christmassy, so I'll be putting some decorations up in the shed. Now, when I first got my allotment, I decided to put some cranberry bushes into these hanging baskets by the shed. Now, I did that in autumn last year, and as you can see, they didn't quite make it. They unfortunately died off. Now, I planted them in ericaceous soil, which is what they like, but I think the problem is that because they're underneath this lean-to bit here, they didn't get enough water, and because cranberry bushes like to be moist near enough all the time, they just couldn't survive really, so they died which is really unfortunate because it would have been nice to have had some cranberries for Christmas dinner this year. But what I'm going to do is maybe hopefully get some more cranberry bushes and put them in the fruit cage. But what I would like to do is to get some big galvanised pots and put 1 or 2 plants in a pot each into the fruit cage, and then obviously they get the rainwater, and then obviously I'll be up here every day because I have to look after the chickens so I can water them if they need watering, which leaves these spaces free. Now I thought, because I do quite a lot of cooking up here, because it's quite nice to use fresh herbs, and because I didn't have any up here anyway, that I could put some herbs into these hanging baskets. Now I've chosen 5 different herbs, some of the most popular herbs. So the plan is to put 2 herbs in this hanging basket, 2 herbs in the other hanging basket, and then put 1 herb in a pot just down by the doorway here on the floor. And hopefully the herbs will do better than the cranberries, because obviously the herbs like sunny, sheltered positions, and because this gets the sun all the time, and because it is semi-sheltered from the rain, I'm hoping the herbs will do a lot better than the cranberries. So the herbs that I do have, I have some thyme, some curled parsley, I also have some sage, some rosemary, and, I haven't got enough hands, some chives. Now I'll be pairing them up with similar herbs which like the same conditions. So the thyme and the rosemary, the rosemary and the sage, they will be going together, so they'll be going in this hanging basket. And then I'll be putting the chives and the parsley in the other hanging basket. And then the poor old thyme will be all by itself in a pot down on the floor. So I have some grit as well. So I'm all ready to get them in. But first things first is I need to get rid of the poor cranberry bushes and get rid of that ericaceous soil, ready for the herbs to go in. So now that I've emptied the hanging basket of the ericaceous soil, I'm just going to fill it with some potting grit and some compost. The rosemary and the sage will be going in this hanging basket together. Now they both like well drained soil in a sunny but sheltered position. So by adding the grit into the compost, then it will be perfect conditions for those herbs. It will give it that little bit of drainage and it won't let them get waterlogged, which is what they hate. Now this is just your normal compost. Right, I get the 2 herbs. So these were going quite cheap at the local garden centre, which is why I'm putting them in now. Because obviously it's best to put herbs in the springtime. But I thought I'd try and get a sneaky bargain. So I'm just teasing the roots out gently. So the rosemary can go there, and then the sage can go next door. Tease the roots out gently again. As you can see, they were getting a little bit pot bound, which is another reason why I wanted to get them out, even though it's not ideal weather. But I mean, these herbs are quite hardy anyway, so they should be fine. I'll be putting a layer of mulch around, either straw or leaf mould, just to protect them from the harsh winter. If we get a harsh winter this year, because it's been very, very mild. And it's just a matter of backfilling in all the gaps. Just a little bit more. That's one done, so I'll just get on with emptying the other one, and then I'll pop the chives and the parsley in. Now the chives and the parsley, they're a lot different to the Mediterranean herbs which I've just put in, the sage and the rosemary. They like rich soil in a sunny but sheltered position, but they like rich moist soil. So I haven't added any potting grit to the compost here. To try and get it out now in one piece. Now the parsley and the chives will have to be protected over winter. So I thought by putting them in the same hanging basket, that way I can cosh the whole basket area. So hopefully they'll be protected over winter, because like I said, I only bought these because they were in the sale. It isn't really the ideal time to put herbs in, but I thought I would give it a go. And then just backfill back around with the compost. Now hopefully when I'm cooking in the shed, I can just pop out and pick some nice fresh herbs. That's the idea anyway. Just a little bit more in there. Around the chives. They look a little bit messy. I think the first frost might have got to them a little bit. But hopefully if I cloche them now, they should last throughout winter. If not, then it'll just be a matter of replacing them. But I will try and look after them as best as I can. Now all that's left to do is to put some thyme in a little pot down by the doorway. So last but not least is the thyme. Now I didn't want to overcrowd the hanging baskets too much, which is why I'm putting this into a separate little pot. So for now I'm just going to use this small terracotta pot, but if it gets a little bit bigger then I'll put it into a bigger one, but I don't really want it to grow too big. So yet again, like the sage and the rosemary, the thyme likes well drained soil, so I'll be adding some grit and some compost into the mix. Now, thyme doesn't really like frost, it doesn't like too much rain. So I will also be cloching this over winter. And obviously if we do get a really, really bad frost, then because it's in a pot, I can always just pop it inside the shed or take it home. I use thyme quite a lot. It's one of my favourite herbs. It's particularly nice on roast dinners as well. And that's the last herb planted up. So this one for now will just be staying just by the door. And like I said, if it gets really, really cold, then I will pop a cloche over it, maybe like an old lemonade bottle or something like that, just to protect it from the worst frosts. And then hopefully all the herbs will grow, so I'll have nice fresh herbs to add to the meals which I cook up here. So before I dig this area over to get ready for the grapevine, there's one thing that I really want to do, and that's to save some calendula seed. Now there were a few flowers which I grew here deliberately, which I brought as seedlings, or I grew them from seed, like the pinkish and scabious and the dwarf cosmos. But I've noticed a few dried seed heads on the calendulas, so I'm going to pick some of the seeds today because I really want to grow them next year. They were really great this year. The bees and the butterflies absolutely adored them, and they were nice to look at as well, and also the petals were really delicious. So I'll definitely be growing them again next year. So I'm going to collect the seed and then I'll be digging it all over. So I've just managed to clear the whole area around the pond now. So all the wildflower mix is gone and all the weeds that were there as well have gone. And it actually looks a lot better, just because it looks a lot cleaner and a lot tidier, I guess. But there's one thing which I didn't think about now, is that the frogs absolutely adored this side of all the weeds and all the flower mix that I put down, because obviously they used to hide under all the weeds, and there was a calendula that used to go over into the water's edge. They absolutely adored it. You always used to see the frogs underneath that. And there are loads of frogs in the pond, absolutely loads. It's just started to rain, so I better do this quick. There's actually a frog here and a frog over there. They're really quite big, and I have noticed about 4 or 5 frogs in here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just build a little home for the frogs, because when I was tidying up over the other side of the allotment, there were a pile of slats of pallet on the floor, and obviously I had to move them to dig that area, and every time I lifted a bit of wood up, there was a frog, and I counted 8 frogs that were living in this little wood pile. So what I've done is I've cut loads of my hazel branches, the spare hazel branches which I used for the archway. I've cut them up, into about a foot length. There's quite a large pile there, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a little log pile just on the side there, in between the 2 rose bushes, because they like this side of the pond a lot better, and it will give them somewhere to hide as well from any predators. So hopefully they like it. Now I've also made this little home here out of an old terracotta pot, and there's a few slugs in there already. So there's a little built-in mill in this house. And I've also made a sign as well, so I'm going to quickly put the log pile down before I get really wet in this rain. So it's time to plant the grapevine. Now the variety which I've chosen is called Flame, and it's a red seedless grape. I actually bought the same variety at the beginning of the year, but my dog decided to pull it around the garden and he actually snapped it in half, and I wasn't able to repair it, obviously. So I had to wait until now to buy another one, because obviously they're best planted between November and March when they're dormant. So I had to wait near enough the whole year to get another one, but I finally got it, so it's ready to go in. Now, grapevines you can grow in the greenhouse, but there are varieties like this one which you can grow outdoors. They do, however, prefer the sunniest position in the garden or the allotment, and they actually say that the sunnier the spot, the sweeter the grape. So it'll be interesting to see if that's true, because I do really like sweet grapes. And I chose this variety because it's red, and I love red grapes, and also because it's seedless. So once it's all grown, I can just come up the allotment and just eat them as I go, which will be really nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dig a hole. Now I'm placing the grapevine here because it gets the sun all day, because the sun goes over this way, and my allotment is quite lucky really because it gets the sun all the time. And this is the actual side of the fruit cage. Once all the netting's up, it'll be the side of the fruit cage. So I'm going to have like a trellis on there, and then the grapevine will obviously be attached to that and it can climb up that. So I'm going to dig the hole here. Now the hole needs to be dug about the same depth as it is in the pot. Oh, make sure I don't get any in the pond. The poor frogs would have a surprise. Right, that should do for now. Let's spade him. Let's have a look. Yes, that's perfect. Now what you need to do next is create a little mound in the centre of the hole. Just like that. And then I'll be adding in 2 spoonfuls of this, which is called root grow. Now I was recommended to get this by the people who I bought the grapevine from, which was Grove's Nurseries. I do recommend them, they're really good. So I'll be adding 2 spoonfuls of the root grow on top of the mound. Now this stuff just supports the root system. So hopefully you will get a much healthier and stronger plant. Now when you put the grapevine in, you need to make sure that the root system is in contact with the root grow fungi, which I've just placed on top of the mound. So if I just tease the roots gently, and then place it on top of the mound, and then it's just a matter of backfilling the soil back in. what I'll do is I'll leave that bit of bamboo there just to give it a little bit of support while it's growing. But obviously it's dormant now, so it won't be doing a lot. Now the last thing to do is just to give it a little water, and then I'll be putting some mulch around the base just so it can suppress all the moisture and hopefully suppress the weeds and give it some moisture, and then that's done. So once that starts to grow next year, hopefully the netting will be on the fruit cage, and there'll be some trellis up as well, so I can attach the grapevine to that, and that's done. So the allotment is looking a little bit sad and a little bit bare, so I thought I'd cheer it up a little bit by putting some Christmas decorations up, and hopefully it'll get me in the mood as well. So I'm going to put some tinsel up, I'm going to put some lights up outside, I'm going to make a wreath for the door later on, and maybe even put a little tree inside next week. So let's get decorating. So that's that. The shed has been decorated, the herbs have been planted, the pond area has been cleaned, and the grapevine has finally been planted. So all the jobs have been ticked off for now. So this will actually be the last jobs video of the year. There's a few videos lined up for the rest of December. Like there's an update one of my plot and an update of my dad's plot, because we haven't done an update of his plot since August. And he will also be showing you all how to make a leaf mould cage as well, so that would be interesting. And I will also be doing a special Christmas video just to wish everyone a happy Christmas, just a little fun celebration video really. But this will be the last jobs one, even though there's still so much to do. I mean, it's nearly Christmas, which means it's nearly New Year, so there's lots of planning to do for next year. And of course I need to get the area ready where my chickens will be going, because I'll be getting them in spring as well, which I just can't wait to get them. So there's still lots to do. There's never a rest for an allotmenteer or a gardener, but I'm not complaining because I just absolutely love it. But for now, thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.